the world is going digital, thanks to the COVID pandemic, even more so. So given this, tell us, as a student, what would you feel would be the one positive change in higher education that could be implemented in such a way that it raises the global education standard?
Yeah. Okay, so I think that the program I established is an example of an amazing change that can happen in the higher education system. The uniqueness of the university where I studied is that students' initiatives are strongly encouraged, like the program I founded, and they are like the program that I founded. There are additional enrichment programs in variety of fields. I'm not the only program on university on campus, so students should be allowed to develop projects and ventures in which they apply tools they have learned in real life, and because it gives them like a lot of tools to enrich them as human beings. I think our students need to get the opportunity to start their own something, and I think this is that's why I can say that I really push for students' initiative and projects to be something that is part of the study process of all universities, because encouraging the students to be more creative and go beyond what they are doing, and it makes them study more, it makes them feel more connected to the real world by doing projects about the real world and not just like on the stuff that you learn in university. In fact, I think that no one is born entrepreneur, and it takes time to get successful in ventures. Like no one is success in his first venture. So it takes time to learn it. And if your students, they have, and people give you like the tools and they give you the mentors and they give you a framework and support, it will be much easier to start when you're a student, because then you will fail when you're a student, but later when you go to the real world, you might have the tools and everything to be more successful later. I think this is why it's really important to start students' initiative and to help them grow and mentor them while you're students in the higher education level.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to 32NZ's. You're with me, Catherine Abraham. Joining us today is Ofir Lazarov, who is connecting with us from Tel Aviv. She is a student at the Reichman University, and she is also, interestingly, the co-founder and manager of a very unique entrepreneurial program for 35 students in the field of food technology. Leading the market team, organizing conferences, getting her alumni community together. These are just a little of what Ofir's vast profile holds for us. And today we've invited her specifically to get to know what are the challenges that she has faced, of course, as a very young entrepreneur, and to also find out how she wants to take the sustainability in education program further. So welcome to the show, Ofir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me.
Thank you.
So I will start by telling a little bit about myself. So I'm 25 years old. I lived all my life in Israel and Tel Aviv, and I love this place so much. And I'm going to stay for I think my whole life in Tel Aviv. And this year, it's correct, I established the FoodTech program. Also, I'm a student for computer science. I'm just now like graduated. It's been a full of like busy 3 years, but I try to do like my best in university and to do a lot of stuff like besides studying computer science. And this is why I established the FoodTech program.
Wonderful. So tell me one thing, Ofir, at the very outset, I'm very curious. Food technology is generally an option B, option C for a lot of students. It turns out to be option A for you. what really caught you with food technology?
With food tech?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that because I'm studying computer science, I really got attached to the technology and innovation stuff. And in food tech, this is like the main part. You know, you need to take food technologies and to make it better, to make the food better using technology and innovation. And this is what I liked about it. Also, I really like to cook and to bake and do a lot of with food. So it really attracts me too. And the most like impact part in food tech is that you help the environment, you help Earth, and you make the food better. And I think this is like the thing, the stuff that makes me stay in food tech, because you're making an impact on the world. You're changing stuff. You want to change how people consume their food. It's a big deal.
Okay. And with food, agriculture, natural resources, human sciences, all becoming real tools for, literacy obviously is a tool for preparing global citizens for this very pressing global challenge that we are facing in terms of sustainability today, tomorrow. Tell us how your program specifically takes into account the use of artificial intelligence, and how do you help Israel and the surrounding regions?
Okay, so I think I will go a little back to the history of Israel. So when Israel was got independent, so there was three main problems for the people in Israel. Where like the main problem was security. We needed to defend ourselves from our enemies. And also we needed to find fresh water, because we only been surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea, and we didn't have any lake with sweet water to drink. And we needed to learn how to raise our food in a desert land, because Israel is a desert. So these three main problems that people faced those days is like make us leaders in those fields today, because people needed to find solutions then, 80 years ago. And now Israel is the leading country in those fields in technology. We are the best in agriculture, we're best in security and security technologies, and also in making fresh water. So I think that Israel now can be, because a lot of countries in the Mediterranean, in this area, in the Middle East, is facing the same problems. Like they need, everyone is the land is on a desert place, so they need to be, so they are facing the same problems we had. So as a leading country in those technologies, we're having a lot of collaboration with different countries by providing them those technologies. And about the connection to AI and data research and everything. So I think the next step for those industries to be better than what they are now is using those data and using AI to make those technologies better. Like AI now is the key for the progress in those technologies. And Israel, as a leader also in AI, has the power to take these industries to the next level. And also because we are in the position of in like an intense position with the surrounding countries. We're using those technologies to be the bridge and to collaborate with different countries, and even like to get the Avram the peace agreement with the Arab countries. So everything is, I think, that is related to the technologies that people in countries want to do business with us, because we are leading in those areas.
Very interesting. Now, let me come to food tech particularly. So how do you get involved in the education sector Okay. Now, when we look at it, particularly in food tech, on the entrepreneurial or education side. So how do you help maybe fellow entrepreneurs to go forward, learn the right things, and then, of course, start off? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I will tell about my program. And so in the last year and a half, together with 3 sustainability students that are now my best friends, I established an enrichment program in this field of entrepreneurship and food tech at Reichman University for the students on campus. Every semester, we choose to accept about 35 students who show passion and interest in this field of food tech. And we meet them every week for lectures and tour in this field. So the program is divided into 2 parts. In the first part, there are lectures where the students learn about food tech field. And in the second part, the students are divided into groups in order to establish a venture. Each group is accompanied by a mentor from the industry and goes through lectures about building a business model and how to present and sell an idea in front of an audience. And in the final meeting, the students present their ventures in front of an impressive team of judges from venture capital funds at the field of food tech. So as part of our goals of exposing the field of food tech to students in the university and to be like the connection between academia institutions and the ecosystem in Israel, I also and my managers in the program organized several conferences this year. That was really a big success with a lot of like hundreds of participate. These days also we are working on expanding the program to more universities in Israel and abroad. And we are working on finding students who want to establish branches of our program in their universities.
Right. And, you know, Ofir, I'd like to ask you one question that is very important to a lot of, you know, young female entrepreneurs. You know, do you believe that they face more challenges, or is it all equal? When you're an entrepreneur, does it really matter? It's gender neutral. Or, and have you particularly faced a major challenge as an entrepreneur? Tell us about that.
I didn't feel that because I'm a woman, the door closed to me. Like I feel the same equality in Israel for my experience until now. Maybe in the rest of my career I will face different challenges, but until now I think that I didn't face something against my gender. About the second question, I got a lot of no's at the beginning when I wanted to establish the program. I think for about 6 months, everyone in the university told me like, no, we don't need this kind of program. No one cares about food tech because in a Reichman University, there is no people that study like biotechnology or something related to this subject. And this is also the unique of our program because we get inside people from all degrees. They study people study communication. There's people that study computer science like me. People study law. So it's very like a wide range of different people. And so back to the story, I got like for 6 months, everyone told me no about the program until someone did tell me yes. And then I connected to the 3 other founders and we established the program together.
Excellent. So now sustainable food technology can be deployed at key points along the food cycle, and it has a potential to promote a world with less hunger, better employment, of course, and responsible cycles of production. How do your students and organization help to embody this entire statement?
Okay, so we will a little bit dive inside the program. So in the program, we teach the students about the entire cycle of the food supply chain, from the production process to the moment it reaches the final consumer. We maintain a chronological order in the meeting, starting with exposure to the field of food tech, and then continuing to learn about the traditional food industry and its problems, and the transition to technological solutions for alternative protein production. And we teach them like the 3 different methods, like there is plant-based protein, there is a fermentation production method, and a cell culture method. In addition, in the program, the students are exposed to very relevant sectors in the food supply chain, such as food ingredients, software technologies that can help to be more efficient in the supply chain, government regulation, etc., etc. So the students, like I said, students who come to the program, like coming from a wide variety of degrees. So we make sure to touch on a lot of different topics so everyone can connect to something. Like for students who study law, we brought people from the Israeli government that deals with the regulation of food tech, how to give the approvals for food technology, a food that's been in the lab, how to give them the approval. For the students, from my major, from computer science, we bring lectures about AI and how you can connect this to the challenge that we are facing in the food supply, in the food supply chain. We try to show like the students all the challenges and opportunities in every step of the way of the food cycle.
Great. And so how does now, obviously you are taking them literally from an end to end, it's almost an end-to-end process that you are taking them forward, and you're ensuring that they meet approximately all of the challenges even before they've started out with their own programs as such. But how does your entire company operations involve carbon neutrality initiatives and sustainability initiatives within the operational sector?
Like how it's enrooted in our
Yes,
company operations?
in your organization. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I believe like the change starts from small actions. So it starts from every day and everything we are doing, our daily routine. So in our program, at our events and meeting, we make sure to use reusable cups and plates and stuff to eat. It's really important to us, but I think that the main thing that creates the existing problem in the world of carbon neutrality and sustainability is not focused on reusable stuff. I think it's more related to the protein we eat, like the meat industry and the fish industry and the milk and cheese. So for me, it's important to me like that to look in my plate in my day-to-day life and to reduce meat from my life. Although that before the program and before I was exposed to these problems, I ate meat and I ate everything. And also now I'm not a vegan or vegetarian, but I'm trying to reduce the red meat from my life. And also in the programs, we bring only vegan meals to the students that come every night. And I think making a personal change in the way your life, it contributes not only to the human body in terms of health, like to reduce meat or stuff like this, it also affects the world more broadly, because now we have like more good substitutes for everything, and even better products are on the way to make it better. So I think it's important not only in terms of entrepreneurs, but also on my personal side. I think it's important to start with small changes.
Okay, and that brings me to another important question. Now, the world is going digital thanks to the COVID pandemic, even more so. So, given this, tell us, as a student, what would you feel would be the one positive change in higher education that could be implemented in such a way that it raises the global education standard?
Yeah. Okay, so I think that the program I established is an example of an amazing change that can happen in the higher education system. The uniqueness of the university where I studied is that students' initiatives are strongly encouraged, like the program I founded, and they are like the program that I founded. There are additional enrichment programs in variety of fields. I'm not the only program on university on campus, so students should be allowed to develop projects and ventures in which they apply tools they have learned in real life, and because it gives them like a lot of tools to enrich them as human beings. I think our students need to get the opportunity to start their own something, and I think this is that's why I can say that I really push for students' initiative and projects to be something that is part of the study process of all universities. Because encouraging the students to be more creative and go beyond what they are doing, and it makes them study more, it makes them feel more connected to the real world by doing projects about the real world and not just like on the stuff that you learn in university. In fact, I think that no one is born entrepreneur, and it takes time to get successful in ventures. Like no one is have success in his first venture. So it takes time to learn it. And if your students, they have, and people give you like the tools and they give you the mentors and they give you a framework and support, it will be much easier to start when you're a student, because then you will fail when you're a student, but later when you go to the real world, you might have the tools and everything to be more successful later. I think this is why it's really important to start students' initiative and to help them grow and mentor them while you're students in the higher education level.
Right. And a very interesting insight, which brings me to another question on the three food tech initiatives. I think, maybe in Israel or otherwise globally, that have inspired you as a person. So tell us a little bit about any three food technology initiatives that have inspired you.
Yeah, okay. So the company I chose to tell you about, I think that they have the most impact on carbon neutrality and increasing sustainability in food production. So they are in the alternative protein field because they deal with protein substitutes in foods such as meat, milk, eggs, and fish. I think those industries are the most polluting, and this is why I'm focusing on these industries. And these industries really require a technological solution that will help deal with the sustainability challenges that the world is facing. So the first one, okay, the three companies are Ale Farms, Dreamilk, and Plantish. Some of them I also visited. There are three Israeli companies that also raised a lot of money in the last year. So the first one is the Dreamilk. She raised $125 million to build a factory when they can produce the same amount of milk as 50,000 cows, which is crazy. Because each cow eats a huge amount of food, and in the future we will not have the area because the population is growing, and we will not have the area to raise will not have the land to feed and to raise these cows. So their technology saves pollution, land, huge amounts of water and food that need to be fed to the cows. One more word about the milk and the whole industry of the animal based food. If you looked in the health aspects, moving to factories instead of using livestock saves us a lot of use of antibiotics. And if you know, I don't know if you know that, but today 80% of the total antibiotics consumed in the world goes to treat animals, whether it's animals to eat or animals, like 80%. So reducing use of livestock for eating purpose helps minimize the use of antibiotics, which is really great. Another industry that I chose to focus is the red meat industry, and particularly in the company called Aawsat. So the red meat industry is the most polluting of the entire food industry in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. 60% of greenhouse gas emissions from all food production is from red meat only. So therefore, this is the industry that is most important to develop technologies in it. So Aawsat is a company that produces steaks of cultured meat directly for animal cells without genetic engineering. They're doing it in the lab, and it's based on research from the Technion University in Israel about skin tissues. And in the last round, it raised $105 million. Yeah, so today this company is in advanced stages of development and towards the launch of its first meat called Minute Steak in this coming year. So it's going to change everything, for my opinion. Okay, another industry that I chose to focus on is the fish industry. So the fishing industry is very polluting as well. Industrial fishing leaves behind a lot of dirt in the seas, such as plastic and nets, and therefore greatly pollutes the ocean and even destroy the life system of the animals that live there. So there is an Israeli company called Plantish. They found a solution to this problem by 3D printing plant-based salmon pieces, and they also recently raised $12 million. I met with all of the founders of these three amazing companies, and they really inspired me also in the idea of making a change in the world and the way we consume this food, and making a huge impact on the world by doing it.
Wonderful. These are amazing companies, and I hope that you're going to be heading one of them sometime in the future. So our last
Maybe I will
question.
start my own one.
Oh yes, absolutely, Ofir. We all our best wishes for you for that. But just before we let you go, our last question to you is: tell us a little bit about your journey as a student, entrepreneur, as well as a book that you would recommend to all young entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, okay. So I think that I discovered my entrepreneurial side from really young age. Already when I was 14, I started to organize summer camps in my yard for the neighborhood children, and even employ like friends as instructors. And also after my military service about 5 years ago, I started making jewelry as an hobby. When I realized that the demand for my jewelry from friends is getting higher and increasing, I opened an Instagram page and started selling through it my jewelry for men and women. And it actually turned to a huge business. I did the marketing on Facebook and Instagram. I made the jewelry. I did also like special photo days and managed the sales and basically everything. And the business was really profitable, but I finally stopped it because I flew to travel for a long time. And a year and a half ago, I came with an idea of opening the program in this field of FoodTech. I told you about it because I think that I've really connected to the technological side, and as well as the impact and doing good for the world. And I got a lot of no's, as I said in the beginning, but it didn't stop me at all. And I think that this is like the most thing I'm proud of myself, because I didn't stop even though it didn't succeed. And now it was a huge success during the year. And I'm really glad that I stuck and didn't give up about it. And about the book that I recommend, I think that there is a Israeli author called Dan Ariely, and his book, Predictably Rational. It teaches the essence of entrepreneurship, which is correct decision making, and he actually teaches us how to make decision rationally and detach from emotion, and it's in addition how to control the decision of people around us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ofir. I think all our audience members are going to, really appreciate everything you just said, because I think it's, apart from being very insightful, it's very enlightening. It's very inspiring to see someone like you, taking the lead from the front and telling everyone, you can be an entrepreneur. I love that statement. Don't give up. I think that's something that we all need to imbibe in our daily lives, apart from, of course, our professions and so on. But it was wonderful having you here. Thank you so much, Ofir. I hope to reconnect with you at a later time when probably you come up with something even brighter than food tech. But all our best wishes to you for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting me. It was my pleasure.